Hey guys, this is Danielle over at Danielle's SOS Bookkeeping. We've had a lot of people interact really well with our videos, so I'm going to start filming some live videos for you guys and just talking about some commonly asked questions, tax tips, things that you need to know both for personal and for business. Today I'm going to be sharing a story, and it's basically just called Commonly Missed Tax Deductions. So this one's on the personal side. When we talk about doing personal tax returns, people always ask us a lot of questions. A couple of the most popular topics are definitely medical expenses. A few things that you guys need to know about medical expenses. When you are doing your tax return, anything that's not reimbursed by a private healthcare plan, you can write it off on your taxes. The premiums on private healthcare plans, you can also write off on your taxes. I also get asked about things to do with dietary restrictions. Big things that you need to know is that, so say for myself, I'm celiac. I don't choose to go through and do the deductions on my tax return under my medical expenses, because the way CRA allows you to deduct for health restrictions is you have to calculate the amount that it would cost you at a normal product and then the cost it costs you for an alternative product, and you don't get to write off 100% of the alternative cost. You only get to write off the difference between the two. So for most people, that's a lot of work, and it's just not something that they want to bother with. So that's a big one there. Things that you need to know for medical expenses as well, though, is that tutoring for children with disabilities. This is a big medical expense that gets missed and doesn't get talked about enough. In an upcoming video, I'm going to talk about all the things to do with families that have kids with disabilities, or even for adults that have disabilities as well, from the tax perspective. If you are traveling more than 40 kilometers one way for medical, you can write off your travel. You need to keep the documentation, and I cannot stress this enough, that CRA is looking for things like gas receipts, mileage logs, hotels, parking. You need to keep all that documentation. Having it on a credit card statement or on a bank statement just simply is not good enough. The medical expenses over $2,000 are definitely more liable for an audit. So we try to set our clients up as much as possible so that there's no failing on your part. So when I'm stressing the importance of documentation, it's for a reason. Okay. Now the last one there is prescription contact lenses, glasses. You can write those off. I've had a lot of people ask me that, and yeah, they're definitely tax deductible. Same with dentures and dental implants. Excuse me. Anything to do with major surgery for kids, if you're doing orthodontics, if you're doing anything like that, again, as long as you keep your documentation and you're only claiming the portion that was not reimbursed by your healthcare plan, you can absolutely write them off. Something new in 2017 was the ability to do the home renovations for mobility and access tax credit. So what that looks like is that if you have somebody in your household that has a disability and you renovate your house, including ramps, stairs, the chair lifts to a second floor, bathroom renovations, things like that, you can write all of that off. I do definitely have clients who are in wheelchairs and they need to make their houses more accessible, both for themselves or their kids. You can write off all of that on your taxes, and again, just keep your documentation as much as possible. Some other commonly missed tax credits are tax credits for other members of your family. So things like medical expenses for kids. So we talked about some medical expenses just now, making sure that we're including them not just for ourselves as parents, but also for our kids. I myself have 2 kids at home, and making sure that all of those expenses are covered for them is very important. We all know that kids have expenses come up, and making sure that we as parents can get a bit of a tax break for them is very important. Family caregiver amount. Now this is something to do with people that take care of dependent adults, kids with disabilities, things like that. And then again, just touching on again the home accessibility tax credit. So that's going to be your one for renovating your house to do with disabilities. Now, prior to 2017, you could also, and including 2017, you can also claim the family caregiver amount. Now, the family caregiver amount is a bit different than is really talked about. The family caregiver amount only applies to a dependent who has less than $19,000 worth of taxable income in a year and who has to live with you. This is very important. So if they do not live with you, it makes things a little bit more complicated. There are definitely exceptions to that, don't don't get me wrong. But that's primarily what we're looking for. And there's a big extra credit for infirm dependents that are children. So keep a lookout for that. If you do have somebody in your household that is disabled that you are taking care of, make sure that we get a message and we will help you look at the credits that are available to you. If you have missed them in previous years, you can also go back and you can reassess up to 7 years in the past. A couple things on the did you know list. So again, we talked about the traveling more than 40 kilometers for travel for medical. But the other big one that I get asked about is moving expenses. Now, in my opinion, I'm going to unfortunately say 90% of people that apply to have moving expenses on their taxes don't qualify. So if you are, say, you live in New Brunswick or Nova Scotia or somewhere on the East Coast and you move to Alberta for work, this is a commonly, this is common, it happens. Now, just because you move to Alberta for work does not mean that you are entitled to moving expenses. To qualify for moving expenses, you need to have a job offer letter that you can prove to CRA. What we are required to do as tax preparers is we are required to put your previous address and your previous employer and the commute that you had to work versus your new place of residence and your new employer and the start date, and then we do a calculation based on that. If you do qualify for eligible medical expenses, you can write off things like moving trucks, the cost of relocation, whatever that means to you. That could be travel, that could be plane tickets, that could be fuel, hotels. There's a number of things that are definitely there for you to take advantage of, but you have to meet those prerequisites before you can take advantage of that. Childcare expenses, that's a huge one too. There is no cap per se. In 2017, how they've changed the way we can write off childcare fees is a little bit different. Your cap is based on your family income. So if you have a smaller family income and you're trying to write off $25,000 worth of childcare expenses, there's going to be a cap. I would say, in my opinion, under about $14,000 a year in childcare expenses, you're going to see most of that as a taxable deduction. Keep in mind that keeping those receipts and having proper documentation for your childcare is very important, because that deduction is a dollar for dollar reduction off your taxable income, similar to an RRSP contribution. There are lots of people that do not that do not pay into RRSPs, but there's no reason why you shouldn't get basically the equivalent write-off for your childcare expenses. Now, that is a collective total across children, so I'm saying $14,000 as a benchmark, and that includes all your kids. So that is not per kid. If you are disabled or you have a child, if you have a child that's disabled, there are extra credits available to you. Other things you can write off on the childcare fee side for children with disabilities. If you have learning supplements, if you pay for tutors, if you put them in special institutions, there are more. There's more open and available to you. So please, if you have anybody in your family that qualifies for something like that, or you're not sure if they do, please hit the send message button. Send me a question, send me an answer, and I will definitely I'll definitely help you guys out on that. Now, the other one that I talked about in 2017, just one more time, is the disability home accessibility tax credit. So again, if you're doing any renovations for your house, make sure that you are writing those off on your taxes. Now, of course, the big one there is, hey, Danielle, you've told me something I didn't know about, and I qualified in previous years. Awesome. So we offer adjustment service. Our fee for that is $40 a year. And basically what that allows us to do is CRA has given us the option to go back 7 years and adjust our tax returns if there's something that we are missing. Now, that can be a slightly complicated and drawn out process. I'm a big believer in being realistic with my clients. So keep in mind that right now, the adjustment time is about 6 to 12 months. If you call into CRA right now on the automated system, it'll actually tell you that it's a minimum of 25-week processing times for them to even open an adjustment file. Now, that being said, we can run the numbers for you and figure out whether or not waiting a year is worth it, depending on what the size of the adjustment refund would be. This is open to anybody. So if there's anything that you think that should have been included, if you're just looking for a second look, any of that kind of stuff, Again, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We specialize in the messy, the dirty, the complicated. This is actually what I love to do. So our office is SOS for a reason, and we're here to help you guys. Again, we don't charge for free consultations. Please book with me. I'm happy to sit down with you, do a free tax assessment. I'm just not in the business of nickel and diming my clients. We've been serving Edmonton, an area, since 2014. We've been blessed with amazing clients, and I'm extremely happy to be going into our 5th year in business here, looking at expanding, bringing on new staff, and taking care of more clients in the Edmonton area. For those that don't know about us, we do serve Edmonton, Sherwood Park, St. Albert, Fort Saskatchewan, Spruce Grove, Stony Plain, Devon, Beaumont, and Leduc. I do have clients in Red Deer, in Calgary. If you're okay with a more digital-based relationship, we can do taxes for anybody Canada-wide. So please feel free to reach out to us one more time. Our website is www.dniellesosbookkeeping.com. You can reach us by phone at 587-754-2910. My receptionist Katie would love to book you an appointment. And again, just reach out. At the very worst, you'll either get a yes or a no, and you'll get a little bit of peace of mind knowing you did everything to make sure that your taxes were taken care of. So I'm going to try my best to upload some videos here for you guys in the next couple of weeks. I did see a comment on this one asking if we could do a live Q&A for contractors in the beauty industry. Absolutely. If there's something that you guys want to see specifically done in video, please send me a message. I do take that into consideration when sitting down and doing these videos for you guys. I appreciate your guys' support, and if you like what we have to say, make sure you like and follow us on Facebook. Leave us a wonderful Google review, Facebook review, or website review. We really appreciate that, and we hope that we will talk to you guys soon. If you guys have any questions, again, you know where to reach us. Thank you.